Okay, listen up. If you're not a Christian, if you've never accepted Jesus into your heart, um, I know some of you just hearing that you may already be rolling your eyes. But if you're watching this, you already have a divine appointment because that's the only reason why I'm here recording this now. Because somebody out there has been on the fence thinking about it. And you've heard messages and you've got all these ideas in your head like, well, oh, we don't need God in this world. There's evolution. Evolution is why we have all this diverse life. Well, I'm here to tell you today that you're wrong if that's what you're thinking. That isn't true. And I can prove it if you give me just a moment. The best thing I can think of, something I bring up a lot whenever people bring up that argument, is the origin of life itself here on Earth. Maybe you heard something like about this in the beginning of the Earth, early in the days of the Earth, there's this primordial soup, and in the early atmosphere there was lightning, and the electrical charge from the lightning caused the primordial soup to cause amino acids to come together and created the first living cell, and that was the origin of life, and we all evolved from that. No, that's pure nonsense, and if you don't believe me, you can look it up yourself. Even on Wikipedia, which isn't exactly known for being a pro-Christian website, it'll tell you that scientists still do not have an explanation for the origin of life. And if that did happen, if there was lightning in this primordial soup, all you would have gotten is amino acids, and maybe with some luck they might have, and it would have taken a lot of luck, by the way, just so you know. If you ever look at how our protein is made, for all those amino acids to come together in the right order to produce a viable protein that didn't simply collapse, would have taken a miracle in itself. That probably would have taken an act of God by itself. But even if it had happened, all you would have would be protein. Protein is not life. They say that protein is the building blocks of life, but protein is not life. A protein molecule can't reproduce. A protein molecule can't evolve into anything because it's just a protein molecule. It would only be just the very beginning. It's not life, period. So you can just throw that out the window right now. And then the next question is, if life didn't come that way, where did life come from on Earth? It would have taken a supernatural act. There's just no way that life can come from non-life. It just can't happen. They have theories, but that's the best theory they have. So just to have life requires a supernatural being. And so that may have you saying, okay, so all right, I'll give you that maybe it took God to create life. Okay, but why is it got to be the God of the Bible? What's so special about that God? There's lots of gods that different civilizations talk about. What's so special about this one? Well, that's an easy question to answer too. The Bible. Oh, big deal. It's an old book. Every religion has their old books, right? Is that what you're thinking? Okay, that's true. Yeah, every religion does have their old books. No argument. No other religion has an old book like the Bible. They just don't. It's 66 books written by 40 authors, and yet the entire thing is internally consistent. It predicts scientific discoveries that we're only just proving today in our modern time. The stories in the Bible in the Old Testament that archaeologists keep trying to say, oh, there's no evidence, that didn't happen. Every time they send out an archaeological team, it seems like they find evidence that the stories in the Bible actually happened. So you can get rid of that. And say, okay, well, all right, so it's a historical book, it's something special about it. Oh, big deal, but still, I don't believe that anybody ever was risen from the dead. But the fact is, the resurrection of Jesus is one of the best documented events in human history. It was foretold by hundreds of prophecies in the Old Testament. And if you take just a handful of those prophecies and do the math yourself, figure out the odds, just a handful of those prophecies being predicted hundreds of years before the event happened and it actually happening, the odds are astronomical. Science in their own language would call those odds impossible. Like 1 in billions. I don't even have the exact numbers in front of me, but they're huge numbers. That's why I can't remember them, because they're huge numbers. Incomprehensible numbers. It just couldn't happen by sheer random happenstance. So what I'm asking you today is to think about these things and then just stop thinking about it and just do it. Just make a decision. If you're here, God's already leading you. Sit down, say a prayer, say, Jesus, I admit it. The evidence is overwhelming. I can feel it in my heart. I want you to come into my life. I give my life over to you. I want to be obedient to you and accept you as my Savior, because the evidence is too much and I need a Savior. I want to spend the rest of my life in heaven with you, the rest of eternity in heaven, I should say, with you, and not in the other place. Because the things we do here on earth, for now, they just count for here on earth, and this life is just a vapor. But what really matters is where you're going to spend eternity, and what are you going to do about your eternity? Are you going to worry about buying fast cars and expensive houses and all these things that are going to be gone when you pass away? They're all just going to turn to dust? Or do you want to do things that are going to matter for eternity? So just make a decision and just do it, and never look back. It's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of eternity. Just make that decision. And that's my message. And from this point forward, that's going to be my main message. I know that that's what God's telling me that I need to do, and that will be my message from this point forward. Just people need to find Jesus. People need to come to Jesus. Stop listening to all the nonsense about evolution and worldly things. The devil's going to keep telling you that all these worldly things are important, but they're not. What's important is eternity. Be a Christian. Join the kingdom. Come to our side. Just think about it. God bless you all.